Well, it is a circle. There's definitely a circle in there. Jasmine Bank, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
We missed you last week.
I missed you guys too.
Are you okay?
Yes, I just feel like I'm shedding, but I'm perfect.
Yes, you are. Yes, you are.
Guys,
But
don't
we're also
zoom in.
shedding like good vibes,
Exactly.
positive vibrations, and everybody should just be out there taking it in.
I'm doing it. I'm doing it for everyone.
Let's just laugh before we get into this conversation
Yes.
because I think a couple of weeks ago there was an article in the newspaper, 483 deaths,
Yeah, 500 now.
500 now. That was, I think, June, July.
Yeah.
And the World Health Organization says that the number of suicides right now is high. The death through suicide is high than malaria, cancer. Like, when did we get there? Well, when we started 2020, when we got in like midway towards the end, it was all because, we haven't been home, we're stressed. And then it still continues to now. The numbers keep going high. And the question is, how did we get here? What's happening?
So it's interesting that it's even more now, but suicide has been there for such a long time. And when you look at suicide and the rate of suicide, a lot of people associate, that's weakness or, somebody should not do that. But people don't understand how somebody got there or the pain it takes to even have to contemplate taking your life. And the thing with suicide is it's not that the person ever wants to die. It's that they just don't know how to deal with the pain anymore. And so at the back of their mind, you can see all the problems in front of you. And the only option you feel is available is, if I can't get through this, if I can't conquer this, I know at the back of my head, I can take my life. And that would just end all this pain. It'll end all the suffering. It'll end what I feel is a burden not only to myself, but those around me. And you look at last year alone.
Yeah.
I mean, it has shaken everybody. There's nobody COVID didn't touch in some shape or form.
That's true.
Either with illness, either through breakup of relationships, either financially, mentally. It hit everybody. But the thing is, not everyone was able to cope the way certain people were able to cope. A lot of people moved into reinventing themselves. A lot of people moved into, let me find the strength in this situation. But there's some people who the consistency, the certainty of their lives was shaken so much. No one has taught us how to adapt to that. And now you're stuck with burden, you're stuck with pain, you're stuck with, I don't know how to grieve through this. I'm not even dealing with anger anymore.
Yeah.
I'm just stuck in deep depression. And where do I take it? It's now become who I am. I wake up to feeling depressed. I deal with it during the day. I will show up where I have to. But nobody knows what I'm thinking. Nobody knows I feel suicidal. You'd be shocked how many people you walk past. You'd be shocked how many people are around you right now that have thought it once or twice. And so there's a difference with the people that think a lot of the thoughts of suicide, and then there's a difference with the people who want to actually commit it, who go ahead with doing it. And research shows that 33% of people who are on any sort of drugs are people who are more likely to be depressed, because when you're on drugs, your moods are so dependent on what's being released within you. You're not taught how to regulate your emotion yourself.
So you never get to really deal.
You don't get to
You
deal.
escape from it because the drugs, whatever I'm using, will protect me from that.
Or numb me.
Yes.
Exactly. And so it's sad. It's sad right now because you look at people who were in relationships they thought they would be in for the rest of their lives, and then COVID somehow hit, and it was not even the situation of we're together in the house or we're stuck together. It was just different pressures that triggered different people that caused relationships to break up. It was the fact that yes, now we are stuck dealing with each other even more. It was the fact that attention is moved to a different area, and some people don't know how to, deal with that in a relationship. So the loss, it's the underlying loss of control, loss of hope, loss of I don't know how to be better. So I'm so helpless in this situation, and the only way out is to be able to move through suicide. And the difference I've seen even through research is you look at it as more men are committing suicide. The percentage varies. So it'd be like at some point 2016 was 10% women, 15% men. Now it's 33% women, 35% men. There's no proper statistic. But it shows that more women contemplate suicide. They will think about it, but men actually go ahead and do it. And you look at last year, if you look at the state of the whole world came and pushed you to have to deal with emotion in some form or shape. But men who are taught you cannot cry,
you cannot speak up,
you don't speak up, you deal with the situation, you show up. I mean, forget the fact that you're human, you have emotion, you're allowed to be lost, you're allowed to be confused, you're allowed to take some time off, and hopefully your spouse can support you while you figure it out. It just wasn't working. And so men are just sort of swallowing emotion. They're dealing with everything on their own. I'm the provider. I have to have the solution. I cannot be lost in not having financial income now. And then at home, I'm also feeling like a failure. So where do I go? There's no softness. And one of the biggest important things, you know, from mid last year was explaining to women the need to be softer with men. Because men have no filter, they have no outlet. Women will still get together. It might take you longer if you're depressed. It might take you longer if you're contemplating suicide, but you might talk to somebody. It's our nature to hurdle, to communicate. We go to the bathroom together, we come back together. Men just don't. Men watch football and they're still competing when they watch football, and they still watch a sport. They don't unleash, they don't talk. And now you look at the younger generations, it's for parents to push the younger boys to express, to talk. If you're feeling low, it's okay. If something goes wrong in school, you don't have to sort of button up and be tight about it. But that's what's happened to men. And it's causing them to commit suicide, because where do I go? In my mind, I feel like I'm failing. And there's no way out. There's no one for me to talk to. The support system at home feels a little tight. It feels like you should solve this. Go out there and fix this. The burden's now on me only. Where do they go?
It must have gotten even tougher if you were dealing with such insecurities before COVID, and now COVID came in and just made everything bigger now. And if you had a little tiny chance of talking to somebody else, then now you don't. Because they are also in the same situation. It's everybody that's been hit. So you continue keeping quiet. You continue lying to yourself and to the people around you that you're okay. But you're slowly dying.
But you look at some of the symptoms people don't realize.
How do we know?
It's sometimes you just won't. Sometimes it's the obvious signs of they're withdrawn, they're either putting on 5% weight or they're losing 5% of their body weight. You know, they're not showing up in circles. They would normally meet family a little more often. Now they're not meeting family. They don't want to take calls. They're secluding and isolating themselves even more slow. But when you're isolating yourself, you're sort of feeling there's nobody around, but people don't know because they're also dealing with their own stuff. So you feel there's no need for me in this world. Nobody will miss me. You have all these internal thoughts that are going on that are driving you. And the more you isolate, the worse it gets. And then you look at people who show up to work. They are perfect. They're suffering depression. And it's not even clinical depression, because we all go through sadness.
Yes.
We all experience bouts of sadness continuously in life. But it's our ability to get through sadness. It's our ability to understand this moment is sad. But I can feel sad for this moment, but then I have to be able to bounce back. When you move into clinical depression, you cannot get out of that. You're not able to regulate emotion. You cannot deal anymore with anything more coming your way. The only way to deal with it is to suppress, to get away, to numb. But people are walking around like that.
Yeah.
Because at the back of my head, I still have to earn. I still have a family. Women deal with the fact of who will I leave my children with?
Yes.
Can I do this? You know, do I leave my child this way? Do I leave a note? Do I not? Nobody understands what somebody dealing with suicide thinks about consistently. I know of people who have sat in front of pills and sat in front of it with tears coming down their eyes and thought, what will I do with my children? I'm feeling a lot of pain in my relationship. I'm showing up to work, nobody recognizes, nobody knows. I'm the head of the department.
Yeah.
I cannot look like I'm suffering. So at work, I'm put together. Everyone thinks everything is perfect. But the minute I come home, I don't know how to deal with this pain, this neglect. And so you're torn. And I've had somebody sit in front of pills, having typed out a letter to their child, to their father, to their mother, explaining what they've been going through in their life. But then they just cannot because of the children. And so they come back. But the mere fact you've sat in front of that, it's saddening. But the thing you look at as well is, you look at the young generation. I look at my son. You look at what they're taught in school. Nobody's teaching you, what do your emotions mean? How do you deal with emotion?
Nobody taught us that.
Nobody. You are taught to keep quiet. You are taught to show up in life.
You'd be so confused. You don't even understand what you're feeling, what you're thinking.
No, and there's no room for it anymore. There's no room for it because you look at communication now. There used to be a time, it's so funny. I was talking to somebody yesterday. I was saying the lights went out at home day before yesterday. The inverter packed in. And we only had one phase in the house. So there was only one area in the house you could sit in. And I saw when we all got off the dining table, everybody went to pick up their phones. It was just instant. And we walked through the only area that was lit.
Okay.
And I watched it because I picked my phone and I watched my son go and check his phone. I watched my husband go check on his phone. And so I started to talk to myself and I said, you know, guys, we grew up once upon a time when there was darkness, but we talked.
Yes.
When the lights would go and you'd put a candle in a bottle and watch the candle drip, but you talked and you played games, but you did something with each other. The lights have gone, guys, and we're all on our phone. And everyone was like, yeah, it's so true. Give me 1 second, 1 second. and it hit me because I was watching them and I said, nobody talks enough anymore.
No, we don't.
You communicate through how are you on text.
Yes.
You communicate through how are you on a Snapchat. You communicate with how are you on DM. It's so easy with someone with tears in their eyes to turn around and say, I'm great.
I'm great.
I'm okay.
We have emojis nowadays. You don't have to see my face.
Absolutely.
I'll just throw in an emoji right there and you'll think I'm fine. And probably even how you were asking if I'm okay, I'm just like, I don't think you're really asking.
And then I
if
saw
I'm
you
okay.
posted. You posted something and you look great. You look fine. Everything looks okay.
Yeah.
So I'm going to assume when I talk to you, everything's okay. And I'm going to hope that when things go wrong, you'll reach out to me. But we've forgotten the basic of how are you? I'm fine. It's a wall. Nobody goes beyond, I'm okay, but because no one has time. How are you? Are you okay? Right? Because I really don't have time to sit and listen to this. I have to move on with the other million things in my life to prevent me from getting depressed if I have to deal with it. There's no more, how are you? And you take a moment to actually listen to somebody and somebody feels there's an open gateway for me to be able to say, I don't know. I don't know if I'm okay.
I'm not so sure.
Right.
I did not wake up okay today.
I've
been struggling
great.
with this. We don't talk.
We don't talk. We don't need to talk. We have our phones to be able to do that for us. It already hides us. It masks us completely. And so nobody knows who's dealing with depression. Nobody knows who's dealing with sadness. You'll pick it up through maybe your boss's irritation or your co-worker's irritability, and you'll be like, oh, okay, something's wrong with them. But then we go and feel bad about how they're behaving. We don't take a moment to turn around and say,
what is going on with them?
It's all about us. It's all about
me.
Yes.
And then it will shock us because you'll be like, but they posted on social media. How could they have taken their lives?
How did this happen?
How did this happen? I'm just going to throw it to you guys. Do you know anybody who's ever dealt with these thoughts, contemplating suicide? Have you been left by somebody who was close to you and they committed suicide? If you have any questions whatsoever around this, dealing with depression and dealing with all the stuff that the world throws to us, how do we deal with that then? Are we going to start saying how are you when we mean it and are ready to get the answer from the other person? 111 that is our SMS line. Shilingi moja tu. We'll be right back after this break. Welcome back to Full Circle with Mwikali Thursday edition, and we have Shazmeen Bank in the building. We are talking about, suicide, especially in our country. We've got the statistics. We are at 500, and World Health Organization says that it's really high than malaria. Malaria ni a mosquito. What is happening to us? And we figured out we're not asking the right questions. We're not listening. We're not talking. We're not finding out why did they behave that way. You just go on judging people and not giving them a chance to be able to open up to you. And when they do, sometimes we start gaslighting them or start doing other things that are not funny. So we need to change. That's where we're starting this conversation from. Something else that came up from last year and this year, well, it was happening before, but then from last year, this year, we've seen a lot of death, suicide in relationships. Where I get to a point where some people have not died, but the intention of the partner was to kill.
Yes.
Some of them have killed themselves in relationships specifically, and not necessarily married people.
Relationships it's the most uncertain place you can go. A relationship, an intimate relationship, pulls out from you different levels, different trauma, different root causes you don't even know. A relationship shows you things about yourself you don't want to see, shows you things about how you react to situations you don't want to deal with. And when somebody walks away from you after bringing out all of this inside of you, I don't know where to go. Because when I meet somebody, I want this one person to love me fully. I want this one person to give me attention for the rest of my life. I want this one person to be the village of all my emotions. I want this one person to know me inside out. Yet, how well do I know myself? How well do I deal with my emotions? How well do I know my feelings? How much do I want to spend time with myself? How comfortable am I with who I am? But I want somebody else to do that. I want somebody else to fill me up completely. And when they don't, or they walk away, or the relationship ends, or somebody cheated, or there's multiple affairs, I feel thrown. I feel lost. There's nothing of me beyond this relationship.
Yeah.
And so people commit suicide because it's the most intimate place in your life. Somebody sees all of you, but we put all these expectations on somebody, and then thinking that when they walk away with all of you. But they don't. Because at some point we've forgotten that what I want somebody to do for me, I should be able to do for me first. And then when they do it for me, it's a bonus. It's a gift in my relationship.
Okay.
But we'll commit suicide because where do I go? Where do I take the pain? Will someone ever love me the same way? Can I ever open up to somebody ever again? Nobody can hurt you more than an intimate relationship will. And that also comes down to if I allow it.
Ah.
Will I allow somebody? Will I notice the pattern in the relationship? Will I be aware of where's this relationship going? Is it more on it's not working? Is it more on it's working but I'm self-sabotaging the relationship? Where is this relationship really? What's the truth of this relationship? Am I in a relationship because I'm just so scared of being alone that I'll never find somebody ever again? And then this one person who is supposed to spend the rest of their life with me has decided to walk away, not marry me, not ask me to be in their lives, choose a different career over me, move countries, anything. But in my mind, you have left me. You've abandoned me. I don't know how to deal with my own abandonment. You are now putting me in a place to deal with rejection, to deal with feeling alone, and I cannot deal with it. I cannot use, or I don't know how to move past that emotion. There's nobody in my circle that understands it. People turn around and say, you deserve better, don't worry, move on, somebody else will come. but nobody's really sitting with the fact that this is painful for me.
Yeah.
I don't know how to move past the normal pain of a breakup to me truly feeling this will never happen for me again. And so the easiest way out, even while in a relationship, the attention I'm not getting, the fights that we're consistently having, me feeling I've given so much to this relationship, I cannot believe you're still treating me this way. You're not recognizing I'm in pain. You're not recognizing I'm suffering. We're fighting even more every single day. The only way out is for me to commit suicide, because I'm starting to feel like you don't care. And silently it's a call, because people who commit suicide, a lot of them will also talk about it. A lot of them will voice
So
it.
we need to hear them.
Yes, a lot of them will say that I wish I could just die. Life would be better if I'm not around. Would you even miss me if I'm gone? During fights, someone says, I'm just going to commit suicide because I feel like you don't love me, you don't care. A lot of mistakes happen that way as well, with somebody feeling, all I want is for you to want me in
Yes.
this moment. I just want you to stop this pain. But mistakes happen when someone has access to a gun, or someone has access to a knife, or someone has access to anything, to pills, to a rope. And you're just hoping in that moment of all this pain, someone will stop it for me. They'll let me know I'm loved. That's all I want. Just let me know I fit in. Let me know everything will be okay. But the more somebody fights back with somebody in that space, you're already feeling like, I don't belong here. There's no more room for me. What is life beyond this moment? You cannot see it in that state. And then bring in people who are on alcohol, people who are already on drugs, completely impairs your emotion in that moment. People who, are dealing with suicide, but you're dealing with it without the drugs, like this person who was able to sit in front of the pills. They were able at some point to be able to understand the emotion of the crying, the emotion of the pain, was able to calm down, and they could justify in their mind, okay, this is not a step I want to do. This is not worth it. There has to be more for me.
Yeah.
But when you're under the influence of alcohol, you're under the influence of drugs, you don't have that rationale. Your mind is completely at a blank. And so, the symptoms you're watching people walk around with of withdrawal, sometimes we don't even notice that's a symptom anymore, because we're all doing that. We're all withdrawn. We're all in our own world. We're all battling. It doesn't matter who you are. In some shape or form, there's some area of your life you are working on and you're dealing with. And that's the point of life. It's just a lot of people sometimes, pull in the loss. They pull in a lack of potential. Their belief system is so low. There's no results coming out. So for me, life just seems bleak.
So the only way out for me is just to end it.
And
the only way to end it is not because I have a huge amount of money to finish this debt. It's not like I don't feel like I'm loved anymore. I gave you so much of my love. You chose to leave me. So there's a lot of pain going on inside you, and you think that this is the only way out, but we're here to say that it's not the only way out.
It's not.
It is not the only way out. We have a couple of questions.
Yes.
Maybe we can find out through the questions how to help.
Yes.
If somebody has been thinking or contemplating. Hello, good morning. I once wanted to commit suicide, but my neighbor helped me. Depression is the main key. Sometimes things eat you, and you have no cares or no one cares or wants to talk to you.
Yeah, and it's true, and that's the reality. But what we forget is ourselves were built as a superpower. We have the ability to control our state. When you can learn to master your state, you can immediately move from depression to feeling better in a heartbeat. Okay. And so even now, if I asked you right now to think of a moment that was so painful for you, we can all do that. We can all reach into that moment.
Yes.
But if I asked you, go into the moment now and really think of that moment, part of you, first of all, your head would go down, because, when you're feeling depressed, you don't look up, you don't want to take on life. So the first thing you notice is your posture goes down, your eyes probably closed, you're thinking of this moment that makes you feel depressed, your shoulders will come down, your breathing goes in, and you're sort of crouched in, feeling helpless. So that's your first posture. And then the next thing you do is you're thinking things, You're thinking things to elevate to that depressed moment, to the depressed thought. So one thought is not enough. It probably would start with, I'm not enough. This relationship isn't working. Nobody cares. I never had a relationship before. I'm not getting along with anyone at work. It's like this domino effect of thought. And so you're thinking all these things to make you feel even more depressed. And so it's your physiology that drops. It's your thought process, the language you're saying to yourself, linguistically, how you pull yourself to be able to feel low and down. And then where's my focus? It's not on achieving. It's not on anything working. It's on everything that's falling apart. And so that alone makes up your state. But if you look at anybody, even when I'm in sessions with people and I tell somebody, put your shoulders back. Just put your shoulders back, look up, and just breathe for 2 minutes. Control your breathing. Be aware of your state and just tell me 3 things in this moment you're grateful for. At first, there's a bit of resistance because the body is just conditioned. This is comforting. I know how to do this so well.
Yes.
I know how to be here. I'm not comfortable with being here so often. I'm not comfortable with the pause of confidence. I'm not confident with where can I take this thought. But you can change it in a heartbeat. You can change depression by going for a vigorous exercise, going for a run, putting on music in that moment. The moment where you're feeling so down, but you put on a song that bounces you, that leaves you with no choice but to change your body immediately, because fear, depression, sadness is all in a state of the body. When you can change the state of the body, when you can feel great, go for that run, go for the exercise, fill your body with dopamine, you are left with no choice but to feel great. And studies at Harvard showed anybody that talked more, interacted more, and got out to be with their friends and didn't isolate so much had the less likelihood of depression and a less likelihood of wanting to commit suicide. Because you got into a group or a circle with friends that was safe and you could talk to them. It made you feel great. It changed your state. It broke you from being in the house the whole day, the whole weekend, running through the thoughts, being in pajamas, feeling low, reassuring yourself that everything's not working. So we underplay the power of exercise, fresh air, getting out, regulating breathing, changing your physiology. Harvard studies actually showed the Superman pause. Have you ever heard of the Superman pause? So you literally stand up, you put your hands on your hips, and you look up. And you do that for 7 minutes. And it actually increases the level of testosterone in the body, whether you're male or female, by 20%. It's already picking you up to make you feel better, to make you feel strong. You'll notice some CEOs put their legs on a desk and put their hands back. As long as you sit this way and your hands are stretched out, you're already regulating your body to be able to feel great and feel better. So if you can control state for anybody that's dealing with depression right now, anybody that's feeling suicidal, if you can watch what you're saying to your mind, if you can watch your physiology and make sure you're always in a peak state, you feel great, you're aware of that, and where's your focus? Where are my thoughts going? How can I just put a pause and be the gateway to my thoughts? How do I regulate not being self-critical? Because I'll not allow people to treat me this way. Why do I do it to myself?
We have a minute to go, Shazmin.
Oh my God.
Just a minute. We have an SMS here we have many SMSs. Karen, maybe we'll have another session to just answer the questions.
Yes.
But there's one here. It says, hello, good morning, Mikali. I am feeling suicidal even right now. I owe people money over 30,000, I think. Yes. My salary is only 15K. I'm the talk of town. In fact, I'm so depressed. I don't know the next thing that I'm going to do. Please help me.
Okay, so here's what I would say. Moving out of, a situation where you feel, I want to commit suicide, I want to take my life away, doesn't solve anything. The power of being able to take a moment and say, who do I owe money to? Let me make a list of the people. Who can I genuinely go and see heart to heart and say, look, this is currently my salary. I know this is the money I owe you. I just need time to be able to pay you back. You will be surprised sometimes with people's generosity. When you go quiet, when you hide from people and you owe them money, it builds up more anger and aggravation, and people want to come at you. But when you show a human side of you, which is, I'm dealing with a really tough situation, please bear with me, and come up with a plan. What can I take out from my salary, that's not needed? And even if I'm giving 500 or 1,000 shillings to somebody, they see I'm making that effort. Sometimes we look at debt and it's so overwhelming, especially for men, it's so big. But if you can chunk it down a little smaller, talk to people, let them know where you are, you'll be shocked how many people will turn around and say, I'm in the same situation, probably with someone else. It's okay. But keep the communication open so I know you've not gone quiet on me. And sometimes that's all it takes.
Just talk it out.
Money, nothing in this world is worth your life. You're put on this planet for a bigger purpose than paying that 30,000 shillings. You're put on this planet to be able to do so much more. So get out of that debt, because that's sort of pulling you in. But there's got to be other things you can look around at your life also that pull you, that have a why, that make you want to get out of bed and own your day in a beautiful way. The debt's not going to go away, but your mindset towards challenge can change.
Shaz, our time is up. It ended like 20 seconds ago. 2 minutes?
Sorry.
How can people get in touch with you? We have so many questions. We've not been able to answer them, but we promise you that we'll have Shazmin back. But in the meantime, how can people get in touch with you?
You can reach me on Instagram at beingrealnow and on Twitter at bangshazmin. Send me a DM. You do not need to feel alone. Even if we just chat on voice, you know somebody's there, somebody cares, and you are so loved. Your life is worth it. It's never worth ever leaving. You're a powerhouse on your own.
Thank you. And we're going to take a very short commercial break. We'll be right back. This is Full Circle with Mwikali.